We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully, your day is going well. It's Monday. We're starting out another week. It's going to be one fucked up week. How do I know? Because every week is fucked up. So, we are back for yet another week. I got a little surprise for you. We have a guest that's on here quite frequently, a guest who does a different kind of show with me, but he hasn't been on this show for quite a while. Jace from Texas, San Antonio, Texas. And Jace, maybe you can explain why you haven't been on this show for a while in whatever terms works for you best.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, it's just thanks for having me on again, Mike. Appreciate it. I've heard you and Eric and Will and your guests talking about Texas, and Texas has kind of been in the focal because one of our favorite candidates is running her House seat got eliminated by the Supreme Court upholding the Texas gerrymandering, and that's Jasmine Crockett. Well, she's also running against somebody we also like, James Tal. I always say his name wrong.
Pelorico.
Talarico. You think I should know, guy that may be my senator. A lot of I just took a break. I mean, and that's how we got our name of our podcast is because it seems like, with this administration, it's always something political. I mean, everything is political. I mean, I miss Sleepy Joe, as Drowsy Dawn would call him. Just when you have a president doing their job and not talking politics, I am not the political junkie I was in my 20s. I mean, now I kind of need a break and I kind of enjoy life because, when you're in a red state and you're surrounded, I mean, it's like trying to explain anybody that you may be woke is like talking to a brick wall. I mean, it's just I get tired of it, and but I've been listening to the Rational Boomer, and we've been having our taking a break. But I mean, I haven't changed or nothing. I'm still this blue dot in this red sea. But the upcoming election in 2026, I don't know. We may have a contest.
Yeah, we may have a contest. And somebody asked me, why hasn't Chase been on for a while? Did he say something fucked up
I
on this
can't.
show? We don't have to worry about the guest saying anything fucked up. It's me. And yes, I encourage fucked up comments. So no, it wasn't that. He's just kind of flying under the radar. He works for some people, for government people, and it's better to be safe than sorry, and that's fine. Anybody who doesn't feel comfortable about coming on because of those circumstances or whatever circumstances, that's fine. I understand, and but we're back. Yeah, Jason's obviously gotten to the point where we're seeing the coming of the end, I think, but it's going to get very messy before we come to the end. And I wanted to, and I'm glad you came on because I wanted to talk about this Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett thing. I'm not surprised Jasmine Crockett decided to run for the Senate when they pulled the seat from her. She's a very valuable politician. She's great to have in Washington, D.C., and I'd hate to see her go by the wayside just because Republicans and Donald Trump want to fucking cheat. So what's the other option is to run for the Senate. But we already have this Tallarico, who is a state legislature slater, right? He hasn't been in DC, he's been in the state. But he's a great guy. He gets a lot of great pub. He's a religious guy, but he's the right kind of religious guy. He actually follows the Bible as opposed to twists the Bible. So Tallarico's a very good choice. He's not as experienced as Jasmine Crockett, but Jasmine Crockett really doesn't have that much experience in DC either. She's only been there a couple of years, maybe four. Um, I hate seeing this though. I hate seeing it when we get two people competing against each other for one particular seat. I mean, we had that same problem with Katie Porter and Adam Schiff. And in that circumstance, they were in a primary. Katie Porter had to leave her seat, and Schiff won. So we're without Katie Porter. She's not even in office right now. Now she's running for governor. I hate to see um, us losing a candidate or a politician just because they're going head to head with each other. Now, I heard that Jasmine Crockett, in a quick poll, she's a little bit ahead of Tallarico. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think just because of name recognition she would beat him?
What are you sad losing JD Vance because he became vice president in Ohio?
Yeah, yeah, we were very sad about that.
Uh, she's ahead like 8 points. And a lot of people down here want him to run against Abbott for governor.
Yeah.
And I think Colin Allred did. He saw the writing on the wall. He wasn't. He was losing to Tallarico, and he decided to go back to his district in Dallas. And I was watching Mike Johnson up there when he was like, talking about her running, and he's not. I think they better take her seriously
They
because
aren't though.
yeah, and I don't think he was necessarily happy that she was running for the Senate. I think he was just happy she was out of the House because
Right.
she's got a. I mean, we all know that Mike Johnson isn't exactly what you call a manly man, and yeah, people want him to run against Abbott. I don't know who is going to run against Abbott right now. I mean, I know there's a lot of people running for Ken Paxton's seat, and I think one of them is Chip Roy. And that's somebody that I think he sees the writing on the wall and go back to
Yep.
tech. But I don't know. I was reading something on Raw Story. They were talking about how the Wall Street Journal came out, the beacon of freedom that they are, said something about, well, the Republicans better take her seriously. Not so much that they think that what I kind of worry about happening on the Democrat side is what's probably going to happen with the Republicans because Ken Paxton and Cornyn do not like each other. I mean, they've
Right.
gone after each other. I don't know how Tallarico and Crockett are, but I don't, why I don't think they have any beef. But when you run in a primary, all the dirty laundry comes out. And they say that, I personally think Cornyn's going to win and he's going to beat Paxton. I don't know if Texas will support him. But I can only imagine if Paxton does win goes against Crockett. I know. I mean, I think our safe bet would be for Tallarico to go against Cornyn, but it's Texas. I mean, hell, I never thought that, Ted Cruz would, beat Beto. But
Right.
Jasmine Crockett is a little bit more left than what Allred was. And like Beto did better against Cruz than Allred did. So maybe we need somebody who is more liberal to get the younger ones out and vote. Because we all know Texas isn't necessarily a red state, it's just a non-voting state. I
Y-
mean,
You know, I had somebody come to my text messages and, they made a good point. They said, "Well, I just hope that Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett, when they go head to head in the primary, they aren't tearing each other up and being dickheads. Show everybody that we can be decent. In fact, he said, maybe they should each point out the positive sides of the other." And I said, that's that sounds nice. That sounds like a democratic attitude. And I don't think they need to tear each other up, but this is a competition. This is politics. They are going to be going head to head. They may call each other out for things. And the important thing here isn't to make friends and hug and be nice. Maybe not destroy somebody else, but don't make friends and be nice. We've got to get the best, strongest candidate to beat the Republicans. That's really the concern here. After we beat the Republicans, we can worry about playing nice and holding hands and hugging and stuff. I understand we want to be different as Democrats, but where's that gotten us in the last 10 years? We got to be strong and tough, and we've got to have the primaries and the debates, and whoever comes out best, that's the nominee in hopes that they win the fucking actual election.
you said something, I don't know, it was when you were on there with Eric, I think you were talking about, how the Democrats they poll weaker than the Republicans do. And I think with you can say what you want to about Trump, but I mean, the dude fights. The dude fights back. And I think that's why a lot of people like him. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like the Democrats is because they're looked as weak. You have a Senate minority leader that writes a strongly worded letter,
Yeah.
whatever. And you guys mentioned, Pelosi. I don't think Pelosi, I think she's weaker now, but I think back in the day she was like what, Hakeem Jeffries should strive to
Yeah.
become more like Pelosi than Schumer. Because I remember, being on the other side and stuff, you always noticed that the ones that the Republicans went after was Pelosi and Hillary, because that's who they feared the most, because those were the two people with the biggest backbone in the Democratic Party for so long. I mean, you have that thing to where, and I think you hit it on the head where you said the Democrats poll, they don't have favorability because they're looked as weak. And what they did, it just came up now where they were promised, hey, we're going to have an ACA vote if you open up the government. Well, they rejected it. Didn't even happen. Now you were also right. This is my "You Were Right, Mike" podcast. I haven't been on for so long, so I'm coming up to everything you were right about. There is I think it was who's the guy that was all said he was sorry that he endorsed RFK Jr. He's a doctor. He
Bill
said
Cassidy.
he's saying there is looking forward to a last minute, and I think this is the last week they're in session, Senate bill to fund the ACA for another year or so.
I
So
heard
no,
it was no, I think it was the House. The House is supposed to be having a vote this week on just the extension of the ACA subsidies. And the reason this is happening is Mike Johnson doesn't want to do it. The leadership doesn't want to do it, but the moderates have been pushing so hard, probably saying, Mike, you want to lose your fucking job, you better put this up for a vote. So, as I understand it, it's the House that's going to vote on it. Because frankly, the Senate already had a chance to vote on strictly the extension of the subsidies. So now it's in the House. The House is going to vote on it. If it doesn't pass, it's over. It's going to be disastrous. If it does pass, then it has to go back to the Senate, and they got the pressure of turning it down, because if they turn it down, then the Senate is the one responsible for this impending disaster.
isn't Cassidy in the Senate though?
Cassidy may be in the Senate.
I thought the way I read it that they said that they were close to the deal in the Senate. That's why I read it. So he said something. I figured he wouldn't be speaking for the House, so that's guess why I just assumed it was for the Senate. It was on Raw. It was
Oh,
on the Hill. I think it was saying that they may
no,
have
I saw the interview, but here's the deal. Cassidy, you can't believe a fucking word he says.
true.
He's a lying motherfucker. They already, when they voted in the Senate, they voted on nothing more than extending the ACA subsidies. Republicans turned it down. Then they voted on his plan for health care, which amounted to giving everybody $1,500 and some other shit. And that didn't pass because it was stupid. So I don't think the Senate has come up with a new one. That's why I heard the House moderates had pressured Johnson into coming up. So the Senate, the Republicans in the Senate, Bill Cassidy came up with their answer to it, and it was a joke. So now it's coming down to nut cutting time, and they know it's going to be disastrous, not only for 24 million people, but for the Republican Party. So they got to see if they can pull it out of the fire at this point. So there's going to be a vote in the House. If that vote happens in the House and it passes, then it has to go back to the Senate and see if the Senate ends up turning down what they turned down the first time. It's all a complete mess. The fact that it waited this long to get it done is crazy. And I've said all along that I think they will probably get an extension of a year or two before the deadline because they're terrified of what's going to happen. But you never know with these fucks. They're more than happy to burn things down, and even if it hurts them, they'll do it. But I think the vote this week is in the House, and if it goes to the House, it's going to immediately have to go to the Senate because they're going on vacation. They've been working hard, doing fucking nothing.
Yeah, and how long ago was the House out of session for the shutdown? I mean, it's
Like
like
3 months or something.
and Marjorie Taylor Greene got bored and wanted to go back to work. That's how long it was.
Yeah.
I saw that she wants to, they say it's a long shot, but she wants to get rid of Mike Johnson before she leaves. She wants to, I guess it's like six now. You got to have six or eight, I guess, people instead of the one that McCarthy made the deal with. And how conceited are you to think that, oh, I'm so good that you can have one person on there and they won't vote against me? I mean, it just shows you I don't want to say balls because balls are like for heroes and stuff, you know. It just shows you about the just the just the arrogance of, you know, somebody like McCarthy. And
Are you tell are you telling me that you think there are some overinflated egos in Congress? Wow, that's cynical. Um, yeah,
yeah,
I think Mike Johnson is safe for the moment because they've really got no other options.
agree.
But Mike is going to go through some things. They may not get rid of him, but they're going to pound the fuck out of that little goofball.
I don't know why anybody would want that position. I mean,
No,
it takes somebody special like a Pelosi. Because we've seen every Republican that's been in charge since then couldn't handle it. Boehner couldn't handle it. Paul Ryan couldn't handle it. How long did Nancy Pelosi handle it? And say what you want to about it. Maybe we need more women up there as Speaker of the House, you know, because I mean, I remember things being a lot better with her, you know, doing it. Did it there at the end, yeah, I still never forgive her how they turned on Biden, and I'll never forgive them for that. And she's overstayed her welcome. But I mean, I hope the Democrats, when they do win, they take a good long look. They won't. Jeffries is going to be the House Speaker, but I would like them to take a good long look at, you know, their choices and to look at somebody, look at somebody like, you know, a Pelosi, you know, somebody that, you know, wouldn't bring a vote to the floor. I mean, how stupid is that to bring a vote to the floor and not knowing if you have the votes or not? I mean,
yeah,
that's just stupid. And what I'm looking forward to, because I don't know if the Democrats will take the Senate, but I'm looking forward to the Republicans in their investigations and making Trump's life, you know, a living hell. And you think he going crazy on Truth Social now at 3 o'clock in the morning. You just wait till, you know, Speaker Jeffries, which is probably going to happen, or the, you know, what the Democrats are doing with the limited power shows you two things that they're playing chess while the Republicans are playing checkers, and it
yeah.
tells you right then the Republicans cannot govern because they have all these they're doing the right thing where they're releasing these pictures at a time to keep the Epstein thing going. The Republicans tried to, shut down and do all this stuff, but these photos came out and there was nothing, you know, graphic about it or nothing like that, but it still got the people going, you know, and I was a little disappointed to see Jimmy Buffett in the pictures. I was a little disappointed to see, you know, Richard Branson in there because I always liked him with Virgin. But I mean, it's like you look at these people in these rich circles, they're not like us. They're they
No,
they they are totally different than the way in the circles we run in. Because, you know, hey Mike, you know, I don't know about you, but I don't hang out at parties like that. Never did.
no, I never have. And the important thing to remember about Richard Branson and Jimmy Buffett, they have one thing in common with all those people that are at those parties. They're fucking billionaires.
True.
Don't even ask. Don't even. Don't even ask how Jimmy Buffett became a billionaire. Because as far as I'm concerned, in the '70s he had like 3 hits, but the guy parlayed it into a lot of money and clubs and all this kind of stuff and merch. But um, yeah, I think it's kind of agonizing to watch them release these pictures and these emails a bit at a time, but I think it is calculated. I think it is a strategy. It's just when things start to fade out a little bit more, they put out a little bit more just to say, motherfuckers, we got some shit and it's coming. You know, we saw what about 50 pictures and there's 95,000 and they're said that many of them are disturbing. This is what I've always said. We're coming up on Friday of this week, and they're supposed to, by law, release the Epstein files. You and I both know that they're going to probably try to dick around with it or delay it. Things are going to drip out even faster and it's going to get worse. So even if those files don't come out when they're supposed to or the way they're supposed to, shit's going to come out. This is inevitable. This is a snowball going down the hill. It's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And And the Democrats and the Oversight Committee are just using this dramatic moment to build it slowly for the ultimate fucking kill shot.
I got a question for you, and you've probably been paying attention more than I have. There's something I've seen on threads talking about Chuck Schumer and how they're trying to link Chuck Schumer to Epstein. And yeah, he may have gotten, contributions, but I mean, you can get contributions and not know anything about the person. I'm not making excuses for him. But I got to give Chuck Schumer credit because he's the one that got the release of the files through. If it wasn't for him, the Senate would have probably tried to muck it up and not release them. What he did with that unit got he I'll give credit when credit's due. He got them to pass that with that thing. But I see in something on the left now that they're trying to link, and I don't know. And usually when I see something like that, it's usually probably a right wing plant. So I
Yeah.
don't know if you've seen anything like that, but they're trying to link, Schumer, and I don't, for one, I haven't seen anything that would do that, but I don't know why he would be the spearheaded on the Democratic side to get that release in the Senate where nobody even got a chance to vote against it. Why would they be going after him now? It sounds like a Republican plan. I don't know if you've heard anything about that.
I haven't heard anything about Chuck Schumer. The idea of Chuck Schumer in kind of some sexually compromising position kind of upsets my stomach. I don't, yeah. If Schumer, I don't give a fuck who it is. Every
Yeah.
Democrat, they say, what about this Democrat? None of them are in public life anymore. I'm talking about the president of the United States. That's the one I'm first and foremost concerned about because he has his hand on the fucking wheel and his finger on the button. If you tell me Chuck Schumer was there, okay, prove it. I'm fine. And if he was there and he did something illicit, fucking hang him. Same with Woody Allen. Same with anybody else that might have been there. I don't really care if it's Bill Clinton. You want to prosecute Bill Clinton? Go for it, motherfucker. But then let's prosecute everybody. Um, I think they're. I'll be honest with you. The DOJ was pushing to have the grand jury transcripts released for Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein. And I always wondered, why do they want those released? Well, they're pretty general type things. There's not a lot of information in them. And I'm going to make a prediction right now. On Friday, they will release the transcripts from those two grand juries for Maxwell and for Epstein. They'll go, there you go.
Yeah.
But that's not enough. That will tell us nothing. It's great that they're going to release the transcripts, but we need the files. And I just think the oversight committee um, is going to start dropping bombs if they push back against this and they don't release stuff. And I'm also hearing that there's some people in the DOJ that are regular working class people that may take the leak way out. So we'll see.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Mike, but I mean, I was so shocked that Woody Allen was on the Epstein list. In the virtual, I mean, wow. I mean, Woody Allen, really? What gave that away? Um,
Yeah, he
it-
he's a slimy piece of shit who had a lot of money and thought he could do whatever he wants.
yeah, and the thing about it is that supposedly I saw some Democrat guy say that you're talking about the stuff that's coming out. They're saving the best for last because
Oh yeah.
this stuff that they're trying to get released. I mean, usually when Trump wants something to release, it's probably some distraction. Like, see, there it is. And and I hear that all the time. Well, it's funny, you know, there could be photographic evidence of Trump doing something, but he was just friends with him. But Bill Clinton, he was, they believe everything Trump says, but they believe, something that, Alex Jones on InfoWars will say about Clinton and I don't defend Clinton. Hell, I voted for Biden. I don't have no Biden t-shirt. I ain't got no Biden flag because I'm not in a cult. I voted for the
Right.
guy because I thought he'd do the best job. Same way with Kamala. Same way with Hillary, why I didn't vote for Trump. You know what I mean? It's I mean, it gets to the point, like I said, when you're knee deep in, the Red Sea that is MAGA, and I've got to the point to where I don't even bother because it's like watching, somebody that's an addict that you help them out, you give them money, and you show them a little compassion, but they always go back to choosing that. And it's
Right.
just, there's nothing that guy will do. That guy could have all this stuff done and they would still believe it. They would still believe I mean, there could be 98% that he did it, but they would still believe that 2% because, Fox or OAN or Newsmax told them that. And that's just something that, it's like there's a movement that I had family members in, and it was called the Confederate Sons or Confederate some. My dad was involved, Confederate Sons of America or something. They
Yeah.
totally believed that Lincoln was and here I watched my father, who didn't long enough love seeing MAGA, but he was talking about how, Abraham Lincoln was a traitor. We all know the story of Abraham Lincoln. He wasn't, releasing, I mean, he did some good things, but he did some stuff that we don't talk about. You know,
Absolutely.
yeah, and I mean, nobody's perfect. But to see my father who used to, think that Lincoln just, hung the moon, now could be saying that he was a traitor because he went against the South's way of life. And we know the
Right.
South's way of life was slavery. I mean, it's like you still have people nowadays that believe that Southern thing. That's why you'll always have the MAGA and you'll always have that 30% that there is no what's the word, rehabilitation. There's no coming back
Right.
from it. They choose to be that way. And sadly, you get a lot of that down here.
Every time you talk like that and talk about that, or anybody talks about that, give you an idea how old I am. It reminds me of the old TV show, uh, The Beverly Hillbillies, when Granny would always refer to Jeff Davis and the South will rise again. And nobody thought anything about that. It was just funny and it was a joke. But there's still people who think like she does. In
Oh
the
yeah.
early 60s, an old lady, and she was just a character. Um, but it's amazing this hasn't gotten through to them. I, I just, I'm all about vibes about situations. When I look at somebody or I feel a situation, I can kind of sense how it's going. And what we're sitting in right now is the late stages of the toilet flushing.
Mhm.
Donald Trump is circling the ball. RFK Jr. All these people are kind of circling the ball. They keep getting called out. They have no answer for it. They keep getting embarrassed. And it can only go one way. I've always said with the government, generally with the government, if they want to, if they want to get you, you're going to get got.
Mhm.
And once that train starts rolling, you ain't stopping it. You ain't. And I think that's where the Republicans, I think that's where Donald Trump are right now. They maybe even realize they can't stop it. And that's why I think they may just shut down the subsidies altogether because they figure, what the fuck, we're done anyway.
Yeah, which is sad is because you're going to have a lot of people suffering, a lot of people that, th- they have the they have the problem when you have people that make 30, 40, 50,000 a year defending a billionaire's right not to pay taxes, there's something wrong with that. And when you, I mean, and a lot of people ask me, well, why don't you vote Republican anymore? It's like, it took me probably close to 40 years, but I realized the Republicans don't, you know, I guess maybe when I was 40, I realized I wasn't going to be rich because that's their talking point is like, well, we support the rich because everybody has a right to get the rich. Well, life ain't fair. People get bad breaks. Life happens. I saw a thing on Amazon, Instagram, and you can tell that it's right-wing propaganda. That there's this some kind of ad, and it said debt is a mental illness.
Hmm.
There's a lot of fucking mental illness in this country, and we already know that. But I mean, shit happens. Your wife, your kid, your dog. I mean, they get sick, you go into debt. And of course, it just amazes me is how society gives, corporate welfare is okay, but helping out, somebody that down on his luck, what I mean, a family isn't. And the Republicans have done a real good job of that, of doing that. Oh, we can't afford, Medicare for all, but we can afford to give, trillions in tax cuts. It just doesn't make sense to me. And it's just, and the Democrats have got to do a better job. And I think Kamala was on the right track by talking about, the plan. She had a plan for young people to get a house. And you know what's fucking sad about it? Those young people didn't vote for her. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like you're voting against your own. And I saw somebody say something that, they voted for this, but they didn't think it would happen to them.
Right. And
Like,
that and that and that's pretty stupid. That's pretty short-sighted and pretty stupid. I will say this, the Republicans have been successful in their messaging. They
yes.
were able to tell people, we're going to bend you over, we're going to fuck you without lube,
And no
and
cigarette afterwards.
you're going to realize how great it is for you. And they bought it. I mean,
Yeah.
because all you have to do is look at the economy, look at it taking away health care, looking at tariffs and shutting down farmers. You don't have to be a fucking genius to know that all that shit is bad and that the person you voted for is the one that espouses it. I mean, how much more in their face do we have to be before people realize that they're voting against their own best interest? But still, there are plenty of people that are still saying, yeah, I love Trump. Well, you go ahead and love Trump on your way to the fucking soup kitchen.
Yeah, and what's sad about it is that, I mean, he said, I love the poorly educated. And it's like they go out of their way to prove that. They were called a basket of deplorables. But the media held Hillary more to stake about the basket of deplorables than they did Trump with the Access Hollywood tape.
Yeah,
I mean, and it's like, and I laugh when I hear liberal media anymore because it's like everything's political now. I mean, it's like, CBS is doing all this stuff. I mean, you're having these anchorman, you're having like Lester Holt, you're having these, people that are, not partial, I mean, Lester Holt had his issues. I mean, they all do. They're human. But
yeah,
you're getting these things now where you're not getting a Walter Cronkite anymore. You're not getting, a Peter Jennings even. You're getting an entertainer. That Fox News bullshit is going to mainstream. And I don't think it's very popular because I don't think that they are getting the viewers they did before. And I think just because you have that, I mean, it's like I think, people don't trust it, and rightfully so. I mean, you have something to where the billionaires run it. I mean, even MSNBC or MS Now or whatever it's called. I mean, there's one guy or two people on there that we both talk about, and that's Nicole Wallace and Lawrence O'Donnell.
Lawrence.
And
Yeah.
that's like must see TV. But how long before that's gone? I mean, Trump is still talking about, he said something about all this evidence about the 2020 election.
Yeah, he's got truckloads.
Yeah,
We're
coming
gonna
out.
wait. We're gonna wait 5 years and a whole term for my opponent, and then we're gonna bring truckloads of evidence out for the 2020 election. Come on, Donnie, the place is burning down. Let's not worry about what happened in the past. You know why that's so bad for him? Narcissists can't stand losing or being proven wrong, and they will fight for till the end of their lives to prove they were right. And he can't do it. There's never been any evidence of the 2020 election being rigged, and there's been court cases and there's been all kinds of investigations, and they haven't found one shred of evidence. And now Donald Trump pulls out of his ass, oh, we got truckloads of it. Okay.
But he
Why did
said
you
that
wait five
before.
years?
But he said that before. He's talked
I
about
know.
this evidence. He's talked about his health care plan. He's talked about releasing his taxes. I mean, it's like, I mean, I'm not the smartest, person in the world, but you know, I know when I've been, I know when you tell me it's raining, you're pissing on my leg, so to speak.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and people are, get back to Texas. I think Cornyn and Paxton are going to destroy each other.
Yeah,
And
probably.
I think that, I think the Republicans' best bet is for Cornyn to win I think the Democrats' best bet is for Paxton to win because I don't know if people will show up for Paxton against the Crockett. She may lose by how the Republicans have been winning down here, not showing up. And Trump's not on the ballot, so to speak. And Trump's buddy buddy with Paxton, but you have John Cornyn running commercials with him and Trump. I mean, it's like they're fighting over who can get it, and you see stuff down here. And if say you were in a coma like in 2015 and you saw the stuff with Trump going on, and you wake up now not knowing the last 10 years and you see a commercial, well, he's got Donald Trump's support. You'd be thinking, why would that guy want Trump's support? But that's where we've gotten that
Yeah.
it's and the media has sanewashed it. And it's like, all these people that used to tell me that, Trump was a God-fearing Christian man, that you would, I mean, it's like you just ask them, would you want your daughter around this guy? And you ask them and they say, fine. But, I'm worried about a guy who had a intern sit on his lap. He can't be president, but, somebody
Right.
like Trump can.
Well, I have a theory about what's going on in politics now, and the Democrats need to recognize this. And Jasmine Crockett is probably the perfect person to fit what we need today. I don't I don't think politics is about politics anymore. I don't think it's about right or left anymore. It's who's the toughest and who fights the hardest. There was a Somali guy from Minnesota that was interviewed prior to the presidential election. Somebody said, "Why are you voting for Trump? Why do you like Trump?" First thing and only thing he said was, "Because he's a fighter." And I contend that everybody at this stage, when we're so adversarial, you need somebody who's going to be a fighting champion for you. You almost don't care about the politics. You need somebody to fight in this WWE fucking clusterfuck fight. So those people who speak out, speak strongly, get in people's faces, those are the people that are going to get the attention. Now, Tallarico is very smart. He's very political, but he's young, he's inexperienced. And Jasmine is a street fighter, but she's also smart. And the reason I know Jasmine Crockett is the best one to go against Cornyn or Paxton is because Ted Cruz and a bunch of people in Texas going, "Oh, Jasmine Crockett, she's got no business being here. She doesn't have a chance. I hope she runs." They're terrified of her.
I
They're
know.
terrified because they can't compete with her. She's not just loud like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She's loud and she's in your face, but she's incredibly smart and articulate. They won't know what to do with her because she's the exact person a bully does not want to run into. So they're terrified of her. I think she needs to be the nominee. As much as I like Tallarico, she needs to be the nominee to go against. Can you imagine Jasmine Crockett in a debate with Ken Paxton?
Yeah. I
She
would,
would turn him inside out.
yeah, and the Tallarico, he kind of faces what Pete Buttigieg does.
Yeah,
The minority African American people don't know who he is.
right.
He, he's 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 an ordinary kind of plain white dude, so they don't know. But I guarantee you, they know who Jasmine Crockett is.
I
So
see, I see Tallarico right now with what little experience he has on the national stage. I see him as a little better Beto.
oh yeah, yeah. But the thing about I agree with you on Crockett. I think she's the best one because Beto did better than Allred against Ted Cruz, and Beto was more left.
Yeah,
And Ed said that too, that if when the Democrats run like FDR, they win.
yeah,
And maybe that's what Texas needs because we've had the safe ones, like I said, Beto ran, but that was when he ran against Ted Cruz. That's been some years. You have some younger folks coming up who are voting now, and the Republicans with this gerrymandering thing may have shot themselves in the foot, so to speak, because they're counting on the 2024 like maps. like how they won. Well, Trump got a lot of the Latino vote in 2024, but he's bleeding support of that now. And it's two
Y-
things. You have people that will vote for Trump when he's on there. Trump's not running. He's not on the ballot. Yeah, he can say he's on the ballot. Yeah, you vote against Trump, whatever. But maybe I don't know if those Latinos will necessarily turn out for the Republicans like they did Trump. We'll find out.
Well, here's what we know about Trump's situation, the administration, and the Republicans as a whole. Economically speaking, the polls suggest that only 31% of the people in this country think Donald Trump is doing well with the economy, which sounds high to me, but that is a very low thing. 67% of the country thinks that Donald Trump's doing a shitty job. That's a pretty that's a pretty upside down poll for him. But here's where the real telling factor is. We know Democrats are going to vote against Donald Trump. We know a lot of Republicans are going to vote with Donald Trump. The big tipping point in any election are the independents. Okay. The independents right now, in terms of his economic abilities, only 15% of independents support Donald Trump with his economic strategies right now. 83% of independents don't like it. They don't think he's doing a good job. He's going the wrong way. He's that snowball going down the field and down the hill, and it's getting bigger and bigger every fucking day. He's got a lot of people turned against him. Latinos, a good example. I'm thinking the Somalis probably don't like him either at this point.
You
And
think?
this will all bleed over onto the Republicans. You know, these people aren't as big of characters or take up as much space as Donald Trump. But when people are sitting there suffering and losing their health care and paying more at grocery stores, they're going to blame somebody. And the only people they can blame are the Republicans. And it's going to play out in the elections.
I got a question for you. I've always heard this about people talking about your governor, Tim Walz.
Yeah.
Um, what's all this? I mean, I've seen this stuff where they're trying to blame him for fraud that's going on. I don't know what's going on, but they're saying that, yeah, because I had, this guy told me that he's involved with something to where there's, they were stealing money from school lunches and he was, trafficking kids. I mean, I was literally told that. And I was like, Mom, I don't know if that happened or not. But
It's not
it's
true.
like they'll believe these like I said, Alex Jones things, but they don't believe, the media that doesn't report on it. But they said there's a bunch of fraud they're investigating. I'm sure it's nothing, but there's some kind of
Well,
fraud.
no, it's a substantial amount of fraud. You know, the thing about it is that they have to jump on anything that a Democrat does. Um, as I understand it, I don't know as much about it as I should. I look more at national stuff than I do local stuff. But there is an organization that received governmental money for kids' lunches and other different things. Oddly enough, it was the leader in the group was Somali who did this.
Mm.
And there is talk that $250 million, maybe more than that. Maybe it's billion. I don't know if it's billions or millions. It's got to be millions because we don't have that big a budget.
Possibly.
$250 million were stolen from from inside the organization. Now, to suggest that Tim Walz had any direct involvement with that would suggest that Donald Trump has involvement with anything where there's been fraud. He is the governor. This happened under his watch. He needs to address it. But the idea that Tim Walz had anything to do with it, would he team up with these Somali folks and steal this money and he puts them in his pocket? I don't think so. But I guarantee you, Donald Trump's put some money in his pocket. They're just trying to attach anything to him. I don't think there was any uh, child sex trafficking involved in in this situation. Not surprising that they would make shit up, but it was basically embezzlement of government funds. And because he was the governor, they're trying to blame him. It's not working. I mean, he's still running for governor in 26, and he'll probably win. but this is how the Republicans do it. Yeah, there was some embezzlement, and I don't know. I would question the legislature, and I would question any of the watchdogs in the government as to how they let this happen. But the buck stops always with the governor, but apparently the buck doesn't stop with the president. Um,
Well,
yeah,
thank goodness we got Mike Lindell is going
yeah,
to clean all this up. I mean, my God, I mean, I cannot wait for his. I watched a video of him one time, and he was talking about some kind of evidence he had. Like I guess it was on the voting 2020, and it's like a bunch of Excel spreadsheets. I'm like, dude, I'm dumb. I need pictures. You know what I mean? Show me some fucking pictures. I don't need, X's, formula equals Y or, I mean, it's the guy gets laughed at. I mean, even the Supreme Court won't touch his shit. But
yeah.
and speaking of the Supreme Court, you brought up a good point about how, if California wouldn't have gone through with their maps, why would Texas have done theirs? I don't know, man. I don't think this Supreme Court, I think it's so corrupt. I don't know if they would do that. I mean they don't rush to, stop Trump's tariffs, but they do that. I mean, Texas, if they wanted to get those maps, they should have done what California did, and they should have voted on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they don't want that. They don't want that to happen to where they don't want us to vote because a lot of people are against it. They had people, Republican districts, saying they didn't want this to happen because it's going to make those Republican districts like they're solid red. They're going to make them more purple. They're not necessarily going to be as strong as they did. They got more, but you can only gerrymander so much. And I would just love it. And 2026 would be, it's not an election year for president. So that would be the perfect time because people don't vote anyway. That would be the perfect time for them to dilute it to where it does something. And I
I
think,
just go ahead.
no, I'm done.
Oh, I was just going to say we were talking about the Minnesota governor's race. Tim Walz will be the Democratic nominee for sure.
Yeah.
We know that Mike Lindell is running for governor. You know how many people on the Republican side are running for governor of the state of Minnesota? 11 of them. I'll just
Really?
give you a few here. Lisa DeMuth, Speaker of the House for the Representatives in the state of Minnesota. She might be a legitimate candidate. Scott Jensen, a physician and former, he's a dentist and a former state senator who was the Republican nominee in 2022 against Tim Walz, got his ass kicked. Jeff Johnson, former St. Cloud City Council member. Patrick Knight, a food company CEO. Brad Kohler, a retired mixed martial artist fighter. Mike Lindell, some attorney. We've got a teacher and former U.S. Naval Intelligence Officer, a healthcare technology executive who was a nominee for something else, current state representative, and some guy they don't have any explanation about. He just filed to run. None of these people have a chance of beating Tim Walz. And I would say Mike Lindell, as much as he's saying he's running for governor, I'm guessing he doesn't even win the primary. But he'll be a joke going up to that point.
When is the election? Is that 2026 or 2028?
2026.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Abbott's running, and there's like some kind of sheriff that's running against him. But I don't know. I don't have much faith in that. I don't know. Abbott seems to win. He's popular down here. I don't see anybody beating him. I mean, I think that's why they want Tallarico to run. They figure that, let Jasmine handle the Senate, and he'll. I don't know. I mean, I keep hearing about how Texas is on the verge, Texas on the verge. I don't see it. And I mean, I was more optimistic in 2024, but I mean, I just don't know. I mean, having to watch Ted Cruz beat Colin Allred and Beto because you gave him the liberal guy, didn't work, and you gave them Colin, which was, the establishment Republican moderate, it didn't work. So I don't know what Texas wants. I don't know what's going to get them off their ass to do it. Maybe it's Jasmine. I'm very optimistic. But like I said, I think the Republicans' best chance is with Cornyn. I think the Democrats' best chance is with Paxton because Paxton is very, very unlikable down here. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. I mean, maybe, she brings out the best to go and do it. But like I said, I think her best thing would be against Paxton because I think she would expose him. But it won't surprise me if Cornyn exposes him too, because he's going through a divorce right now, and this is the same guy that wants all his private records sealed and nobody know them, but he doesn't mind, going after, tracing women's cycles, and when they go to
Yeah.
another state to get an abortion, getting that records, it is abuse of power, and but it's just it's almost like if they have the Trump name on it, they get away with it. And I mean, Texas, the way Texas goes, so does the nation MAGA wise. And I
Yeah.
was I was very surprised that Paxton wasn't his attorney general, because I mean, you talk about somebody that does Trump's bidding. I mean, they had a law where they passed about displaying the Ten Commandments, and they had some schools that there was some kind of court order about stopping it, and and he's still suing them, even though like this court stopped it or something like that. So, and they're doing a thing now with Turning Point to where Abbott is going to start establishing put those clubs available in all the high schools. So
Yeah.
they know the younger folks are more left leaning, and I mean, it's their survival that they put that stuff out there. I mean, it's, what it's like they used to have Rush rooms with Rush Limbaugh playing on there. I mean, I don't know who paid off the doctors, but every time I go in a fucking doctor's office, it's like Fox News is on. So I don't know
Yeah.
who put that check out, but Republicans know that, with the gerrymandering, especially in Texas, and with, this, they know that, policy is not on their side. I mean, hell, I used to vote a certain way, and I voted for stuff that was policy. I don't see anything that's policy now except benefiting the rich. That's who the Republicans stand for. They don't, and the farmers, God bless them, and the ones that, didn't do this. But I mean, it's like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I mean, it's like,
Right.
I don't know what there's just so many people. Life is so tough. It's like, I know that he's probably not very popular on here, and he probably would be a mag if he was alive, but John Wayne said it, life is tough. It's even tough if you're stupid. And
Yeah.
I think we're seeing that because, they're doing all this stuff. They want to sue California for, going to the voters and getting that prop passed, but they're okay with the governor and the legislature doing it. Like I think Newsom even said that. So we're square now, we okay? And the DO justice was like, nope, they're still going to sue. So it's like they want us to play by their rules, but they don't want others to but they don't want to have to face the same things we do. And that's what the rich do. They don't pay their taxes. I mean,
Sure.
it's like GE and Amazon, they don't pay any taxes. But sure you what, if you're late on yours, you surely get that bill.
Well, I tell you what the difference between previous elections with the Senate and assuming Jasmine Crockett runs. First of all, Colin Allred is a fake Democrat. He tries to play both sides of the fucking field, and he doesn't come off as a real Democrat. Beto, this isn't a real accurate a portrayal of it, but you're in Texas and you got a guy who they look at probably as kind of a hippie, not strong, but more left. And as I say, I don't know if the left and right is as big a deal as the fighter. Jasmine Crockett has never shown us anything that says she's a crazy far left person. She's certainly Democratic. She's more left than she is right, but she's also strong, she's polished, and she fights. We're giving people too much credit for understanding politics and policy and strategy. They just want to jump on board the popular one, the tough one, the one that's going to win the fight. That's why Jasmine Crockett should be the Senate nominee. Tallarico, I hope he does some other things because he's a valuable guy. In this particular fight, if she goes against Paxton, she's way smarter than Paxton. So a debate would be interesting. Cornyn, Cornyn is kind of a
Milk
he's not
toast.
a yeah, milk toast. He's not a strong guy, and I have a feeling that people in Texas want the strongest motherfucker out there. We're gonna kick some ass, and I think that will garner her some votes just by virtue of her ability to be strong and be smart on top of it.
Well, she's got two things against her.
Black and a woman, yeah.
So, I mean, we all saw that happen back in, November.
You think that's an issue in Texas? I mean, it's got to be
Well, it's,
given.
I think it's not only like Texas, nationwide. I
Well,
mean,
it is, but in Texas particularly, I mean, do you have you had any black or female representatives? You've had female. I mean, you had the governor way back, Ann Richards, but that was years ago. Is it pretty much all white?
pretty much. And
Really?
you talk about, and we have a bunch of carpetbaggers down here. Um, the they're not from Texas. Dan Patrick, he's from like Connecticut or something.
Right,
You know, they're and then the Bushes, they weren't from Texas, they were from Nantucket.
right.
But I don't know, man. I guess maybe that's what's in the back of my mind about, I the first thing I thought when Kamala was running that, she's black and she's a woman. And you have a lot of that, man. I mean, I guess I've just seen a lot of it, but you also have I don't know. You have a lot of that there. I mean, I think it almost would. I mean, you have a lot of the Latino women down here. They're MAGA.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't know. Should she win? She should win easily. She should wipe the floor with him. But, we saw Kamala do that with Trump. But now,
Unless, unless what you've said all along is that Democrats just don't get up and vote.
correct.
And if
That,
they did get up and vote, the Democrats would probably win. So
yes.
instead of worrying who's going to beat the Republican, assume you can beat the Republican if you can have somebody that motivates people to get off the fucking couch and vote for a Democrat. And maybe by virtue of having somebody who's a fighter thinks, well, maybe we have a chance here. Maybe I will get up and vote. Because the reason people don't vote is apathy. Oh, I can't do anything. I can't get involved. But if they have somebody fighting for them, maybe that is the motivation that gets them off the seat.
And that's what I said earlier. That is the thing that's going to make her win if she gets people out there, the younger crowd, to get out there and vote. I mean, it's kind of like, what Eric talks about Chuck Grassley, always winning in Iowa because people recognize the name. I
Right.
mean, not granted he's been in it for 300 fucking years, but oh yeah, I know that guy. So, I mean, I don't think Paxton is, the Republicans who they want. They probably want, Cornyn, but Trump loves Paxton. So, I mean, I don't know. Cornyn is he's that guy that was anti-Trump, and when it hurt him, he started kissing Trump's ass. Well, guess what? His numbers went up because he was supporting Trump's, but I still haven't heard Trump endorse him. So, I mean, yeah, that's what Democrats are have to do. They're going to have to reach that voter that hasn't voted, it's like Beto. He was out there. His rallies were huge. I
Yeah.
guarantee you that those people who were at those rallies enjoying the barbecue and queso weren't fucking standing in line voting, and that's why they do it to where they make it so hard. They
Yeah.
want to close polling locations. They want to, take, mailboxes, early voting away. I mean, they make it. I mean, I say people don't vote, but every time I go and vote, I've had to wait in line. This last time it was more of a it was back in November. It was more of a the Spurs had an initiative to build an arena downtown, and I voted for it because I love the Spurs, and I think that's just good business to keep the Spurs in
Yeah.
San Antonio.
Yeah.
But I was getting all this kind of stuff. Well, all billionaires are bad and they're all dark money, and it's like, okay, I'm not, even I know that's not true, but I know that it creates jobs or whatever. So I always vote, and I always voted because I mean, I was in high school and I had a government teacher that, I mean, I turned 18 right when I voted, My birthday's in April, so I've turned 18 right before I voted, right before I graduated, and I she registered me to vote, and I have voted there because that's what Republicans do is they vote. And I voted for Bill Clinton first, and and I went down a dark way, and I came back. But I always voted, and I still vote. I think the only presidential election I missed was Clinton versus Dole, and but I voted in every other one since then. But Republicans down here vote, and what we need to do, you have a lot of, the millennials or whatever, they don't vote because, I mean, life's tough, man. I mean, it's hard to get a fucking house. I mean, you finally reach an administration that's, forgiving your student loans. Well, that's got fucking wiped out.
Yeah.
I don't even know if the agreements they had with the previous administration do now. Who knows with this administration? But they make it so hard, but they had so many turn out for him, because what Joe Rogan was saying, and I think the Republicans are in real danger because Joe Rogan isn't necessarily MAGA, and a lot of these people aren't necessarily MAGA. They just voted for Trump because they couldn't vote for a woman of color, and I think, that's what it was. But a lot of them are seeing things haven't changed, and that's what I tell people. They talk about the economy. I go, well, I heard it was day one. It's been a long time
Yeah.
since day one, hasn't it?
But, Joe Rogan, you have to understand, he's neither MAGA or Democrat. He's a whore. He'll jump on any bandwagon that's going to get him views and make him money. And he'll go full Democrat next time around if that works for him. But when we're talking about elections, whether it be in Texas or throughout the country, there's one factor we have to consider. Um, the 2026 election will bear no resemblance to the 2024 election.
I don't
And
think
here's
so.
why. In 11 months, Donald Trump's been president. Look at all that's gone wrong. The economy's going bad. Jobs are non existent. We might lose health care for 24 million people. All this stuff adds up. And when people get more strife and more trauma, that's going to change the whole perspective of the country. There is nothing going on that the Republicans are doing that is positive for this country. And then you throw in the Epstein files at some point in the next couple months coming out and being available. Maybe some more out of the Epstein estate. Maybe we see the video on this double tap thing. Everything that's in line for the Republicans is going badly. Um, and it may not matter whether it's Republicans or Democrats just by virtue of how much bad is happening to this country by virtue of the Republicans. We don't know how much that's going to impact elections. And I think it will have a serious impact. I mean, anytime you look at any other past elections, what's the most important point that people vote on? The economy. How's the economy? It sucks.
Economy's stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Well,
So we got to consider that we can't base what we're going to see in 2026 on what we saw in 2024. It's a different world. It's a new age.
yeah, and I think that's what's going to hurt the Republicans is they're expecting all this Latino vote that showed up for Trump. It won't necessarily show up for, Paxton or Cornyn maybe because and maybe the Crockett or Tallarico does. I mean, it's like you said, Tallarico's running for this. So I don't know if I guess he can still run for his office seat if she wins the primary. I don't know. I get kind of confused. I mean, what happened with Katie Porter? She was running for, I guess that she was running against, she lost in the primary or she lost in the general election. Is that what happened?
Yeah, I think she lost in the primary to Adam Schiff. Um,
She didn't have time to run for another seat in time, or you can't do that? Or, I mean, I
I
guess,
just don't. I think in the House, I just don't think she could. Otherwise, she would have stayed or ran again. But apparently, she can't run for both.
uh,
And since the reps run every 2 years, they're always running for reelection. Um,
so maybe
yeah,
Tyler can run for his state seat at least, and we still have him there because he's real popular. He was on something to where he's trying to doing that. He's doing that like Charlie Kirk thing to where he's like going and talking to I mean he's not talking over them, but he kind of that debate thing, I guess. I mean
yeah,
I knew he did that, but I don't know. They don't ever seem to answer the questions. He seems like he answers the questions. Like you see him go on Joe Rogan, he looks real comfortable doing stuff. I mean, he's on the right side of things because then he doesn't have to lie or bullshit his way through it.
Now, this kid, Tallarico's good. He's good. And he brings the religious aspect to it, but he brings it in its true form as far as what the Bible says. If he's going to be religious, he's going to be accurate. He comes from a home with a single mom and they didn't have a lot of money and they counted on some of the safety nets. So he comes from the right place and he knows what to say and knows how to say it. And he doesn't seem to be somebody who could be tainted by power or money, or so it seems. You don't know what's going to happen if he ever becomes a senator or a rep or something like that. But he seems like a solid kid. Um, but he's a little more passive. I mean, he's strong in what he says, but he's passive. And I'll be honest with you, we are beyond the point where, boy, that's a good politician. This is the fucking Royal Rumble. You better be able to rip your shirt off and fucking kick some ass. And it's unfortunate that we have to say that, but look at the world. Look who won the presidency. People want a fucking fighter. And Jasmine Crockett is the fighter. And I'm not espousing that she would be a better senator than Tallarico. I don't know that she would. I'm not worried about what kind of senator she's going to be. I worry about the most important thing in front of me. We fucking win. We can't get anywhere unless we get Democrats in those positions, and we should do anything and everything we have to do to beat Republicans and eradicate as many of them as we can possibly eradicate.
Yeah, they tried to they tried to hold Tallarico down here in Texas because I guess he has a lot of people that he follows that are on OnlyFans. And they were calling him out for that, for being a Christian. He goes, and the campaign wrote back is like, well, we follow back usually are people that support us. So
Yeah.
they were trying to slut shame him, I guess, so to speak, that, it ain't like Stormy Daniels was, hanging out with him or anything. But it's just so rich to see the party, try to shame him with the OnlyFans, who they're making their money legally. They're not engaged in prostitution. If you want to pay to see a woman's privates, hey, pay as long as you know it's legal. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that. And there ain't nothing wrong with them, donating to him either. And there's nothing wrong with him following back. I mean, they say that, but it's just so the morality police, and I've told people that too. And they told me stuff before, and I go, you have Trump in the White House, and you try to tell me that, you're calling me out, this guy, for that while you have Trump in there? I mean, my
Yeah.
God, my dad wasn't allowed to be a deacon because he was divorced. Not once, twice, three times, but once.
Yeah.
But it's okay if Trump does it.
Well, I will tell you, on TikTok, I have 482,000 people that follow me. I follow certain people, but I follow a lot of people because I feel kind of obligated to it. And I look at who I'm following before I follow them. But I will guarantee you at some point, either on YouTube or TikTok or whatever, I guarantee you I've got young women, not kids, but young women and OnlyFans stars following me. And the reason they do that
Because you're a stud
is
muffin.
be, well, there's that, but it's because they're looking for some traction. They're looking for me to follow them or whatever. And if somebody says to me, Mike, I love you. I watched you for 5 years and I follow you all the time. I get that a lot. I'll follow those people. I don't necessarily watch their shit. I certainly don't go on OnlyFans. I don't, but this is what the Republicans do. They take some minute little thing and expand it and exaggerate it to try to make something out of it. And the fact of the matter is, every time they do that, they end up looking stupid. They end up looking wrong. I don't care what Tallarico is, who he's following back. Show me the data that shows he spends 30,000 on OnlyFans and sits there all day in his legislative office. Then we got a problem. But this is social media. If you follow, so I probably follow some dipshit motherfuckers too, but I don't know who they are.
So you're telling me those girls that are following me in those string bikinis are real? They're not. They're
No,
not.
they're not real.
They're not real. Oh my God! I saw a meme. They were talking about AI what we thought it would be, and it shows Terminator, and it shows what it turned out to be, all these models, these fake women that are AI generated. That's the ones that they are. They're not like the Terminator or Schwarzenegger, they're like freaking models and stuff. Yeah, I like Tallarico. I'm not, Tallarico's the kind of guy that's religious, got a religious thing, but somebody like me or Ed would vote for him. We're not
Yeah.
necessarily believers. We're more agnostic than anything, but we'd be okay with voting for somebody like him than say a Kirk Cameron or say a, freaking Ted Cruz that just when you hear Ted Cruz talk, you just know that he's not authentic.
Well,
I
he's
mean,
creepy.
yeah, he's creepy. And there was a thing where he was on there and he was following some adult porn stars too, and they were like talking about that. He deserves to get pushed back on that because he tries to end those people's ways of life. It's like all those Republicans that are against gay marriage. Half of them get busted in the bathroom tapping their fucking feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Finders crashing. I mean, it's like, love the one you're with. If you're gay, who gives a fuck?
Well,
But
that's just that may explain why all the homes of Republicans have these huge fucking closets so they can have parties and shit. I have nothing against gay people. I have plenty of friends that are gay, and I've always said to people, I said, look, I don't care who you're sleeping with or what you're doing in your bedroom
yeah,
unless I'm sleeping with you. Because other than that, it's not my business. I don't fucking care. Um, you know, but but you're right. That's what upsets me about it most is that these people may be of that lifestyle, but they do everything they can do to hurt their own community. And that's why I've said Scott Bessent is the epitome of this. This guy is a completely open and out gay man, married to another gay man, has kids through surrogacy, and he aligns himself with somebody who, along with his buddies, are trying to destroy the community they fucking live in.
well, look
That
at
is despicable.
well, look at Caitlyn Jenner. I mean, my God, I mean, she campaigned for Trump and, did all this stuff. And, down here, what's still one of the biggest news stories about the bathroom bill?
Yeah.
The Republicans have a habit of going after the people that are the weakest. There aren't millions and millions of trans people. I mean, it's a minority group that doesn't really affect anybody, but they go after it because it's a freaking, they consider it weak. And that's exactly what it is. I mean, I don't know. I mean, and, you sit there and you wonder about stuff, but they have a thing down here to where I guess they passed some kind of bill. And if I was a parent, I'd be freaked out about this. They passed a bill to where you can't have your cell phone on any time at school.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense.
Well, but I mean, a lot of people are saying it's because a lot of the video came out, for Uvalde from cell phones of the incompetence that was going on.
Well, that's true.
I was a parent, I would want my kid to have their fucking phone on all the time. Don't use it in class, but there's a thing called airplane mode you can put it on. But I mean, I think what they're going to do next is they're probably going to ban it. They're probably going to, they have it now. Now they're going to do. I mean, they're doing, and I'm seeing these countries to where they're banning social media for kids and all that stuff like that. They're not doing this to protect the kids. They're doing this because a lot of it's political and a lot of the kids live through. I mean, it could be part for the kids, but you got to think a lot of it is true is they don't like the way the kids are influenced and maybe, given a, way of thinking that they get from social media. Maybe they don't want
Yeah.
them, and a lot of kids are left leaning and, if you're running something, why would you want your kid on there to have their own fucking opinion about something? I mean, if
Well,
if if we're banning
this,
kids from social media, I mean, how much shit were we exposed to growing up that was worse than social media?
yeah. Well, this is the essence of fascism when they start trying to hide things from the general public. I mean, Pam Bondi and Cash Patel with the whole Epstein things, once they're done and Trump is out of office, they've got some real problems because they committed a lot of cover ups, and
Mhm.
that's going to come back to bite them. In terms of social media, with the oligarchs taking control of various social media, they want to limit what people can hear in order to control the narrative. I was just talking about TikTok. Have been on TikTok for 5 years, and when I first got on it, it was fun to watch the stuff, and then I started creating on it, and it went pretty well, and everything was going pretty smoothly for a long time. And then now, as I sit and watch it now, here's what I know: I'm creating uh, as much or more content than ever to more people than I ever have. I've constantly grown from zero to 482,000. The Creator Fund is paying me about 20% of what they did 6 months ago, even though my performance is the same. So they're trying to wean us off that. I sit and watch TikTok, and most of what I see is TikTok shop shit or AI generated shit. I don't know if that's just where I am in the algorithm or what, but I don't see half the stuff I normally see, and it just tells me that an app like TikTok is going to shit because of who controls it. And this is what they do. They try to control the narrative so somebody doesn't speak out about somebody they like. Now, I don't know why they haven't banned me yet. I haven't even got a nick. I don't know why I'm getting by with it, other than I block all Trumplefucks, basically. So maybe they don't even know I'm here, hopefully.
What was TJ saying the other night that one of your imposters has 180,000? Was
100,
like, yeah.
one of my posters has 187,000 followers, and they don't have that many videos up. They're all my videos. I wish I could get 187,000 people on 20 videos. I'd be fucking. But yeah, they got 187,000. And here's the problem: if they're in the Creator Fund, they're making money off of
Okay.
everything that is me. And when I go to TikTok and say, look, they stole my name, they stole my picture, they stole my videos, uh, no violation. These people have no interest in protecting their creators. And when it comes down to it, you can buy that TikTok app, but everything has a shelf life and it will go down. Something else will replace it.
Well, you've already seen that kind of with Threads and also with Instagram with the Reels. It's not, I mean, granted, a lot of the stuff you see on, Facebook Reels or whatever is from TikTok.
Right.
But yeah, but TikTok's not what it used to be. Yeah, you're right. There'll be some kind of other app that comes along, but at least with TikTok, at least that they're communist. You know that they suppress shit. I mean, the stuff we have now, like the stuff with Facebook and everything, I mean, that's just we're not going to fact check anymore because, they didn't fact check because they lost a lot of people that were pissed off about people getting told the truth. I mean, and it's like you have that, that people that do that. I've reported too, because there was a time I would get, 5 or 10 rational boomer friend requests,
Yeah.
and I know it's not you, and I think I told you about it. I'd report it that it wasn't you, and we found no violation. And I remember there was something when I did something on TikTok. I put like Gen X and I put the X in there or something like, kind of as a hashtag. So that got deleted, but I reported this guy that was threatening people and that didn't, we found nothing wrong with it. But you're telling me a little symbol, a little red X is more, and I appealed it, they turned it down, but they would let somebody say his freedom of speech, probably because they're getting a lot of views on that and they're making money. Be damned about what it is. But it's funny how we heard that TikTok, there was a deal for Oracle to buy it. I haven't seen anything lately about that. Have you, Mike?
Well, they're like all Donald Trump deals. We got a deal, but there's nothing in writing, nothing concrete. He said the Chinese were going to buy all kinds of soybeans, and they didn't. They says he's got all kinds of tariff deals, and he doesn't. So, yeah, this is typical Donald Trump stuff. We're getting down toward the end, and I just want to retouch on a couple of things because this week is going to be an important week. A lot of shit is happening. First and foremost, Friday is the deadline to release the Epstein files. Now, Donald Trump could have released it
Oh
a
yeah.
year ago because he didn't need this Congress to go through all this, but it is now a law, so they are required to release it. What do you think happens when we get to Friday?
I think. probably Supreme Court steps in, saves their boy again. I don't know if they can or not. I mean, but
No, they
I
can. It's a law. It's a law now. I mean, they can try to sue.
so was Roe v.
Um,
Wade. Wasn't that a law too? And they
Pat, it,
I mean, I just I don't know, man. I they'll try to they'll try to save him. They'll do something. They'll they'll we may attack Venezuela. Now they're talking about Colombia. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's like, and part of me wants them to attack Venezuela because I want the Republican war hawks to freak the fuck out.
yeah.
Because I think Rand Paul said that something, well, we can't kill anybody without Congress's approval. I mean, that's pretty much what he said. I mean, hey, at least he's honest about it. If somebody dies, at least Congress had the approval on it. I don't know. I mean, I think what happens is the administration will throw up roadblocks or whatever. But I think the Democrats, and I don't know if you mentioned this earlier, but they said there's pictures from the Epstein files of people fucking
Yeah.
and engaged in sex. And so to me, it's probably not all. I mean, I don't know how they will release that without it, because I mean, it's a minor, that's a crime to do that. So, I mean, they're going to have to be real careful how they do that. But I don't know. I think that, this goes on. I hope the Democrats, keep it alive and, put it out there because people have a short attention span.
Well, they have a short attention span, but not for the Epstein files. I expect them to try to delay releasing it on Friday. I don't mind if they release it, if they decide to figure out a way to delay it, because the more the uncertainty of this whole thing, the more people get fired up. You want to drag this out? Go ahead. And even if you do drag it out, I honestly believe that there's going to be some leaks of some very damning photos that some publication is going to say, we don't give a fuck. We're showing it, redacted or whatever. It's
Where's
taken
the
out
National
the,
Where's the National Enquirer when you need it?
yeah. Well, they're catching and killing for Donald Trump. So, but I also think the oversight committee is dripping and dripping and kind of putting a carrot and a stick in front of them saying, you better do it because we got the shit. I think there's more than enough shit in the pictures that the oversight committee has to take a lot of people down or take Donald Trump down. And once you take Donald Trump down, the rest of it will come flying out. We should focus on taking Donald Trump down. Once they do that, then everything will fall apart and everything will come out.
Yeah, I think what happens is what you're saying. You're seeing like the Trump administration say, "Oh, well, the Democrats are cherry picking this." This is hurting him. I don't care what anybody says because
Absolutely.
they didn't cherry pick. They put Clinton out there. They put Richard Branson out there. They put Bill Gates out there. Trump's out there with them. So it's hurting them. So he can deny all he wants to, but you're going to have that, I mean, he's a lame duck anyway. So his political value is depreciating every day, and the Epstein files do not help it at all.
No, and I've said before, if you think they're cherry picking these pictures, there's one really easy answer to remedy that situation. Release all 95,000. How you like that, Republicans? Would you like to release all 95,000? Then there's no cherry picking. It's just a bullshit argument that doesn't work. The last thing I wanted to ask you about was the subsidies. This
Hmm.
is literally the last week they can do it without it shutting down because they're going out of town for the holidays.
Yep.
And if it's not done by December 31st, the subsidies come off. We now know that the House may try to vote on something. Do they pull this out at the last in and just extend it for a year or two to push the goalposts back? Or are the Republicans just set to burn the fucking world down?
I don't think there's enough. I don't think there's enough Republican support for it to go. I just, with the Senate like that, doing that, and with the House, I think they'll try, but I don't think it passes. I think that, they come back after the first when it goes back into it and they try to do it there because Trump actually came around and said he wanted it passed, and the Republicans told him there wasn't enough support for it. So I don't
Well,
think Trump could whip up the votes to get it done. So I don't see it happening before the 19th.
in the House, though, you don't need full Republican support if you've got all Democratic support. You only need maybe 5 or 10 people on the Republican side to vote for it. So it could pass in the House. That's why Mike Johnson in the past says, I won't bring it to the floor because he knows it could pass. So now, if it does pass in the House, the Senate is back on the hook. They're the ones that are going to take all the blame if they don't vote for it. I mean, we saw that with the Epstein file thing. Everybody but one Republican voted to release the Epstein files. We thought, oh, there's going to be a fight in the Senate and they're going to shut it down. But we saw what happened. Unanimous consent. Took 20 minutes. So I still have a feeling, for as disastrous as it's going to be, that they're going to at least extend it for a year just to push the goalposts back. Because what's going to happen to them in the midterms or when they go back for Christmas, they're going to get decimated by their people. 57% of all people on ACA are in red states. So have fun going back and having a fucking town hall there.
Well, I think you're still more optimistic than I guess than I am. I don't know. I don't think the Republicans care. I just don't think that they know what's coming. And if they voted this overwhelmingly, I don't think it would help them out. So they know, and that's why you have a lot of people retiring. Hell, there was a report saying that they expect to lose 67 seats at least.
Yeah, yeah.
So they see the writing on the wall. There's nothing they could do now to turn this around. It's because they got in bed with Trump. And Lindsey Graham was right. And he says, if we get in bed with Trump, we'll get what they deserve. And they're about to get what they deserve.
Now, the flaw in what I just said about pulling it out at the last minute, the flaw in all of this is, in order to come to that point of view requires logic and common sense. And we learned in the 2024 election that logic and common sense has no play here. Um, the other aspect, as far as whether they pull it out at the last minute or they just let it burn down, um, like you say, they may think they got no chance anyways. Let's just let's just tear up the house before we get evicted, because they could be doing that too.
I think we're seeing a lot of that because there's been no rush to get this passed. Because this not passing this is gonna hurt them. And they have, it's gotten this far to where it hasn't gotten this far. They totally just meh, meh. I mean,
And
there's
it's not all Republicans either. The
I
reason
know
that's
it's
going to
a lot
come
of
on the
stuff
floor,
in the
what the
Biden state.
moderates,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, it's the Trumplafucks that want to shut this down. The moderates don't, so they're in a little civil war amongst themselves.
yeah. I don't know. I don't see it passing. I mean, I think they come back after the start of the year and maybe try to pass something. But I mean, the didn't the rates already go up with a lot of insurance stuff? I mean, the bad news is already out there. I mean,
Well, I
even
don't think that they haven't gone up yet that I know of. Well, I mean, actual dollars going, but they've got notices of what they're going to be without the subsidies. And I heard of one couple, older couple in their early 60s, not yet on Medicare. They paying $500 a month for their health care. It's going up to 2,000. See, there's another problem here for the Republicans. They're going to raise the premiums so high that people will just not be able to afford health care. The
yeah.
problem for the Republicans is that means insurance companies are going to lose a lot of money. A lot of money they get is subsidies from the government. So now the insurance companies are going to take a hit too.
Yeah, and I think you're right. You're talking about that, but I'm thinking we're going to have to go through that because sadly, a lot of people voted for this, and
Yeah,
even if this happens, a lot of people will continue to vote for it because
true.
oh, that fucking Biden did this, or something like that. So, I mean, I think it's going to take something like that to maybe people. I mean, people go through some hardships to get us to Medicare for all. Because all we've heard, oh, we can't afford it, we can't afford it. But like I said earlier, but we can afford to give the rich tax breaks. And let's face it, the Republicans they don't represent us. They represent the rich. So
Yeah.
I'm, it's and obviously Trump doesn't care because he's still having those great Gatsby parties, and let them eat cake. I mean, I don't know what else it's going to take to realize that this, party the party of Lincoln, the party of Reagan is not the party of the working man. And I guess it may take something like this when, I thought that people would learn their lesson after COVID with all the trailers there wrapped up with all the bodies, but he won again. So what do I know?
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. This week's going to be crazy like every other week, but this might be even more crazy. I think Donald Trump is on a fast descent to his crash. It's just a matter of when that's going to happen and how it's going to happen. Well, I'll enjoy watching it, but I'm not going to enjoy the mess that's created because of it. Um, Jace, thanks for joining us again today. Thanks for coming back on to the Rational Boomer podcast. As you had a you had a sabbatical there, and now you're back, and I appreciate that.
Well, I appreciate it too, Mike. And I know one thing that's not coming back. We're recording this on Sunday night, and the Vikings are up 31-23 on the Cowboys. We lose tonight, we'll be going on vacation. So thank you for ending my scene, and I can have a Merry Christmas not having to watch the Cowboys lose a future game.
Absolutely. Well, we don't think the Vikings are going to the playoffs either, but we're just kind of waiting to see if JJ McCarthy is worth a shit. We'll see. He's played pretty well tonight, I guess, but we'll
Well,
see. We'll
that, it's that Cowboys defense. I mean, it's
yeah.
a pretty bad day because the guy that, Jerry Jones traded away, Michael Parsons, tore his ACL today.
Oh,
So yeah, so I mean, he was just running. He didn't even, I don't like that for anybody. I don't wish that for anybody. Same thing
no,
happened
heck no.
to Holmes, man. I mean, that ACL, man, that's a bitch to repair, man. That's a long recovery right there. Good luck.
If they repair it at all. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Jace. And for those of you listening, I want to thank you for taking the time to listen. I hope you have a great day, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.